All right, people, welcome in here. It is now a Monday, January the 27th. It's another edition of the NBA Tip-Off Show. It is powered by WagerTalk.com. I'm Joe Raineri, joined by the two esteemed colleagues here on the panel as usual, Mr. Tony Finn of WagerTalk.com, Mr. Rob Vino of SportsMemo.com, as we pick up the pieces here on a Monday on what was a unbelievably tough Sunday in the world of the NBA. It will continue to be tough today, tomorrow, for the immediate future. It's not going to get any easier as the news of Kobe Bryant's unfortunate passing, along with his daughter and the 7 other victims in that helicopter crash. There is nothing easy about this, and it is just going to be rough. But much like the NBA did yesterday, much like the NBA will do today, the games and the show must go on. And, from what everyone who knew Kobe personally is saying, he would rather have it no other way. You're talking about one of the fiercest competitors ever in the NBA, guys. And for those of you that are old enough to remember Michael, and all of us questioning Michael, like, what the hell is the NBA going to be, when Michael goes away? Like, you can't be Harold Miner's the new mini Jordan? Like, you're kidding me, right? And then the 17-year-old kid shows up and dominates the NBA for the next 20 years, and all is well with the world. And he would have absolutely, according to those that knew him, would have wanted basketball to continue to press on and to compete, because nobody did it better than he did. So, Rob, I'll start with you. I mean, yesterday was obviously a very, very tough day. Certainly from a personal basis, those that loved and admired Kobe, that wanted to be Kobe. There's a lot of guys in the NBA. The guys that had Jordan posters are no longer there. The guys that had Kobe posters are very much part of this NBA. So it was a very tough night to look at those games and try to figure out which way was up and which way was down last night.
No, it certainly was, Joe. Obviously, when you have a situation like that is as shocking as it was and comes out of left field, nobody expecting it, it's one of those moments you get a few in a lifetime where everybody you ask is going to remember where they were when they heard or when they saw it. And it's tragic on a bunch of levels, because you've got a college baseball coach and a daughter. You got a lot of other people on that plane aside from Kobe, but he just has that that worldwide persona where he is the talk of the world right now. I think, where Kobe Bryant's concerned, Joe, I think the best thing, and I think the reason why there are so many people, and you will find, if you find a negative comment, you really have to search for it. But here's a guy who, in the beginning of his career, from draft day on, where he demanded as 17-year-old, I won't play for Charlotte, get me to Los Angeles. And he got there. Yeah. And then he had a little bit of a, immature young issue that he overcame and became a really great guy, which, this country has a love affair with people who can turn their life around, so to speak. It wasn't a full life turnaround, but you know what I'm getting at here. And that's where, you get such a bigger audience. Tragic, just simply tragic, and I know he's going to be missed by anybody that obviously was close to him and associated with him, but the whole NBA community and the outside sports world. Like I say, it goes beyond this country; it goes worldwide, because the NBA is that type of global game. Yeah, no, it truly is. I mean, it ain't going to get any easier anytime soon, but. Like I say, the show has got to go on here, Tony Finn, and there are games on the board here today, and we'll tackle as many as we can here, try to get through them for you, and try to figure out some perspective and try to put it all together. Injuries are starting to pile up as we're starting to get the notification, for instance, here in Miami, where it seems like the entire damn team is on the injured list here today as they get ready at home to take on the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, I even asked you guys off air. I said, can someone, I've done my due diligence and sent my emails, and I rarely make phone calls. They take too much time. But not a whole lot of answers. I did not get a whole lot of answers as far as the Miami Heat, and because I was very interested in before I push in on that contest, a contest that I liked one side on, I wanted to know more. So that's why I was asking. We'll find out. I did not release last night. I typically do, but there were so many question marks. There was only a couple lines that were available last night in the NBA at least.
Well, we got 6 games on tap. We'll start with what we do know here, and that's Cleveland against Detroit here tonight, 7 p.m. This game's going to tip off. So what we do know is that we're looking at a 6.5 line here for Detroit, kind of hovering around that. I'm seeing a few 7s. 221 was the number opened up at, and now it's down to around 218.5. But it looks like Drummond's going. It looks like Reggie Jackson is going. Derrick Rose is listed as probable. Kevin Porter Jr. For Cleveland also probable. So I'll start with you, Rob. I mean, talk to me here in this game. It looks like most of the folks here that matter are going in this game. 6.5 is an awful lot of points here for even Detroit at home in this game, isn't it?
Yeah, where the hell is Brian Leonard when I need him to talk about the Cavaliers?
Yeah, really.
He has disappeared from our screen as they've descended into the deep abyss here, the Cavaliers recently. They've lost 7 or 8 in a row. This particular matchup has 3 games this season that we can go off of, and if you just move to the total, Joe, all 3 of them have gone over in this series, and all 3 of those games hit 221 or better, which surprised me a little bit that the total dropped in this game. We see a little bit of take back now, 218.5 up to 219, but still not towards the opener or gotten to the opener as of now. So maybe the over is the right way to go. Detroit's been on an over rampage. They've gone over the total in 6 of their last 7. They've become a little bit of a different team. And when you add Reggie Jackson to the mix, as they did 2-3 games ago, you get even more up-tempo with him handling the ball. All 6 of the overs that they've played in their last 7 games have hit this number, 219 or better. So it's interesting to me that there was a push downward. There's no significant injuries. Kevin Love is not taking a night off here tonight. Cavaliers are 2-1 against the spread in this series. Detroit 2-1 straight up. I wouldn't have an opinion on this side, but I do think that the numbers suggest the over would be a good play here.
Interesting. So listen, we got 3 games under, right? I mean, so it's not like they throw up a lot of bricks, but against each other, they seem to be able to find the basket enough times to hit the overs here.
At first glance, I agree with Rob. I saw the number, and I typically shy away from the side on a Detroit game, and many times a Cleveland game too, unless I'm just dead set on fading Cleveland. And the total I was interested in possibly going north of the odds makers opening number, especially now with it go at a 1.5 to 2 points lower than most shops opening number. I would agree with Rob. I would lean to the over. I'm probably going to stay away from this game as I usually do with Detroit, but you never know. I like the over.
All right, going with the over in this game here tonight, guys. Cleveland at Detroit. Oof. I don't know if there's enough alcohol to consume prior to watching this game here tonight. So let's move on to game number 2 here on the card. It is the Miami Heat, and let me just give you this here, guys, because it's coming in. You got Butler is listed as questionable with an ankle. Goran Dragic listed with a calf is questionable. Bam is definitely going. Bam is going to go tonight. He's listed as probable, and I'm already hearing here that it's already a foregone conclusion that he's going to be in the lineup, which is good. Kendrick Nunn is the other guy, of course, with the question. They're saying Achilles, calf. He is listed as questionable. There is some chatter here that he, in all likelihood, will be a go. It'll be one or the other, either Dragic or Nunn, and hopefully they're going to be able to get Jimmy Butler back on the court here tonight. And quite honestly, I mean, listen, Orlando's on the back end right here. They played last night. They could barely make 100 points. They're about to walk into a place where Miami is 20-2, having lost a tough one over the weekend or Friday night against the Clippers. So they're rested enough, Miami. This is normally a spot we wouldn't even question it here, guys, as the number is. It opened up at 4. It's been pushed to 6. The total is hovering around that 210, Rob. So, I mean, normally I don't think we'd blink at this with the Miami Heat, regardless of the fact, would we?
Yeah, I think you laid it out pretty good there, Joe, especially where the Miami side is concerned. We've seen the bump in the price now up to -6, which, as you just mentioned, the players that are the news trickling in that certain guys are going to play. As long as Miami's, 90% whole, then at home, we beat this drum to death, how they're 15-6 against the spread, 15-6, and then I think the same as far as the total is concerned. They've had a great over team at home. So I would probably lean more towards the side because this particular matchup, the recent history, just there's something about the under. I think it's 4-1 to the under in the last 5 times they've played. Earlier this season, Orlando gets a huge win, which may set up as a little bit more of an edge for Miami from a side perspective where revenge might be concerned. They got beat pretty well, 105-85, lose by 20 points to the Orlando Magic. And in that game, aside from Justice Winslow, they were good to go. So they probably remember that. Here at home, they've been dominant. I wouldn't mess with the total here, even though Miami's been so great at home. I would kind of be taken off of that by the recent series history going under. But I think Miami minus the 6 probably a real solid play here. Orlando, as of late, just has not been good at covering the spread. They're 1-5 last 6 games, and straight up 1-6 in their last 7. So you got a sinking Orlando team at this point in time. As you mentioned, they don't score much, and a Miami team that's just been terrific at home and has enough bodies in this contest to, I think, cover the number.
Yeah, it'd be very hard to pick. It would be very hard to decide with Orlando in this game here, Tony, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It would. Well, here's if you want to look back at January 3rd and you see Orlando beat Miami by 20.
Mm-hmm.
You look at that and say, well, you have to. If you investigate that game, you'll find a little more out about that not really being a 20-point win or not really being a 20-point loss. However, everything that you guys just spoke to relates, I think, and we've talked about it, even Rob's talked about it on the show, and it's in relation to Augustine and DJ and his absence since he's been gone, which is 7 games. That pretty much explains what Rob just laid out for you and how important a guy like he is to a team like Orlando that's offensively challenged, the lowest scoring team in the NBA, I believe, still. Unless somebody's snuck down below them, which I think is going to be difficult to do. As long as Miami has 50% of the people, Joe, that you described or outlined,
right,
and reported as being on the injury list, if they report active duty, it's very difficult not to like Miami here. I mean, Miami can play the competition. They could not show. They could shoot 7 for what was it? Or I don't know what they were that day they lost in Orlando. I think like 7 for 37 from the 3-point line. Mm-hmm. That's one of the reasons they lost by 20. If that happens, then maybe so. Maybe Orlando sneaks inside the cover area, and I'm wrong. But I like Miami.
Yeah, I like it too. Rested up enough. A little pissed off at home, Miami, having lost to the second half there after winning the first half, having just given up way too much in the second half and losing to the Clippers, which, of course, we move on to another team that's, they've been beating just about everyone that they, at least covering one of the best, printing money, this OKC team, the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight at home. Taking on the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic listed as probable in this game. Steven Adams back for OKC. He's listed as active, as is Gallinari in this game. Oklahoma City, though, find themselves as a 1-point dog at home. 225 was the open. It's been pushed up to 226. So I got to ask you here, Rob. This is just got trap. It just feels trappish. I don't know. Like they're begging you to take OKC here. Are they not the bookmakers?
Yeah, Dallas's power rating wouldn't suggest, at least their road power rating versus the Oklahoma City home power rating, wouldn't suggest that Dallas should be favored here. So perhaps there is something being laid out there. Joe, I'm not a firm believer in odds makers setting traps for people, but where that is concerned, I think power ratings suggest a different line should be in place here, and one which would make Oklahoma City the short price favorite rather than Dallas. What's problematic a little bit is these two teams played on New Year's Eve, December 31st, and Dallas loses that game by 5, but they only lose by 5 shooting 35% from the field, which is kind of crazy. When you shoot that poorly, you shouldn't be in the game the entire way, and they were. That being said, there's no way I'm playing against OKC at this point in time. This is a team that they're in rhythm. They're a cohesive group. Along with Ski, we've talked about this team an awful lot, about how they like each other and how they play as a group. I think I'd probably look more at the total. Dallas comes out of the altitude a couple of days ago into play Oklahoma City. Dallas had a real tough game with Utah, a game in which, Utah only covered that game late That was a 1-point game or so with under a minute left. I would maybe look a little bit more towards the over, Joe, but I don't have a real solid lean here. I just, if you're hunting value and that's what you're after, then you're on Oklahoma City tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Tony, you agree, man? I mean, it's kind of hard. They've been printing money, man. They're one of the most profitable teams to the number all season long. Them in Miami here, it would be a hell of a thing to, we say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It'd be a hell of a thing to stop now, especially with Adams back healthy.
That's, I would have to say that your last sentence was probably the most important criteria or variable in tonight's game, and that is we've yet to see. I purposely it wasn't last show, but last week I purposely asked the panel how important they thought Powell was to the Dallas offense, and immediately Rob jumped in and said, "Man, I think he's pretty damn important," and I agree with Rob on that. We have yet the first game that Powell was out, Dallas played; they were stellar. I think if Dallas runs into a team that has a capable big, a rim protector, and one that is maybe, and I hate to use Utah as an example, but I am. And the point is that while they competed hard and heavy throughout most of that game, they ended up losing. The final score is it looks much darker and more dramatic than it was, like Rob explained. But when's this going to catch up to? When are teams going to believe like Rob believes, or I believe, and that is we need to, all we really have to do is confuse Dallas's offense just to some degree. They're fairly young guys. I mean, their star is young, okay? He's young. If you messed with that pick and roll, how does it affect Dallas? I like OKC. I agree with you. Why would you not like OKC and pick them in this game with Dallas coming to the end of a road trip where they just, as you said, Joe, played at altitude?
Yep. It makes no sense. I agree. Yeah. It feels trappish. It really does here. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it, man.
Hey, Joe, real quick, I think we should point out at least that Willie Cauley-Stein, who was recently acquired by the Mavericks, will go here. Now, how quick he integrates into that spot that Dwight Powell vacates, we don't know. But it's a guy who can run the floor, probably fits their system nice, and we'll see how he works with Luka inside that pick and roll. But that's a lot of unknown to base plays on here tonight. So I still think that if you're hunting value, I'm with Tony, Oklahoma City, and with you that Oklahoma City might be the right way in that game. Shout out to
Brandon Carpenter there in the chat room, to all you guys in the chat room joining us here on this on a Monday. Also likes OKC. Plus 1.5. Also, we got a suggestion of maybe Dallas first half, as OKC is known to start a little bit slow and then kick it into second gear. And I don't hate that play either, because it's just about even money to begin with. So it seems like a pick 'em there in the first half. So not a bad suggestion. But again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If we don't want to come here tomorrow and be like, wow, why did we not, I'd rather lose backing Oklahoma City and then go, like, I can't believe I didn't take Oklahoma City. Like, why did I doubt it? So, interesting game as is, and this is one they're talking about in the chat room. San Antonio taking on the Bulls, and Aldridge did pop up as out tonight. He is not playing. I don't know if that changes your mind at all here, Tony, but we're looking at it did flip. It was a 1.5 favorite there for the Spurs on the road. They are now a 1.5 dog. In Chicago, of course, they are on the second game of a back-to-back where they also, I believe, weren't they? They were here on. They were just here, I believe, or they were just played each other. So I don't know. The Spurs have won 3 of the last 4 here on the road, a stretch that includes wins in Toronto. Chicago keeps alternating. They win one, they lose one. They win one, they lose. I don't know what to make of this Chicago team. Outside of Aldridge being out, I don't even know how much is that. It looks like it's a 1.5 point swing here, but what do you think in this game?
Well, when you have an injury list, I ask you guys about the Miami off air, and while a lot of everyday gamers or weekend warriors, whatever you want to label them as, sees a list, or if they look at a list and they see Carter and Gavin Hudson and Markinson and Porter Jr. and these guys, while a lot of them are not the headliners or names in neon lights before game time, they're pretty important to Chicago, and I have a big problem handicapping Chicago because every day it's different, and as you just outlined, they play well. They don't play fairly. If there's one thing I can say about Miami that I believe wholeheartedly, and that's what we're going to get all year from them. They're going to be inconsistent. They're young, and that's just the way it is. Pick your spots with them. Good luck to you.
Yeah. Rob, it's I don't know. I mean, it's a coin flip to me. I mean, it's both of these teams have had their moments here where you're going, yeah, I don't know what we're going to get. At least San Antonio's been a little bit more consistent as of late. How do you see it playing out?
Yeah, I think San Antonio has an edge here, Joe, because if there's one type of team that could hurt the Spurs, and we've seen it and heard it from Coach Pop all season long, it's teams that beat them up on the interior. But when you look at Chicago, and you've been minus Wendell Carter Jr. for about a month, and then they follow it up by losing their number 2 center, Daniel Gafford, and for the last 3 or 4 games, they've been playing Luke Cornett, who is more like a small forward, and he's got height, but he plays more like a small forward than a center. That's not necessarily the type of team that's going to pose a problem to San Antonio. San Antonio's got far more scoring options, even without Aldridge, when you look at those guards. I mean, this seems like the type of game where, you know, Patty Mills comes up with 26 and shoots lights out from 3 or something like that. San Antonio, their reserves step up quite often during injury situations. So for me, I think San Antonio's got way more offense, where the other team, minus Lauri Markkanen now, is so dependent upon Zach LaVine. I think he scored 44 the other night and was a one-man show in victory. I just don't know that happens here. You know, you might be a little bit concerned about San Antonio on back-to-back, but again, I think their depth stretches out far enough to not be too concerned about that. They played a much better defensive team in Toronto last night than they'll face in Chicago tonight. You know, plus points now. Give me San Antonio. I think at -2 with Aldridge, I like them, but plus the points here, I like them.
Yeah, I agree. To me, I think it's free. It's a gift. So go ahead. No Aldridge. I still like the rest of what they got, and I like the way they are playing right now. Which brings us to our final game of the night here, and I'll give you 3 guesses where Tony's going to go with this one. How about the Houston Rockets taking on the Utah Jazz? Now, this game is a mess here, guys. It's a mess from the standpoint of nobody knows who's showing up for Houston or not. Here's what we do know as of this right now. We know Westbrook is gone. He's out. We know Harden is being listed as questionable. We know Clint Capella is out in all likelihood. He's listed as doubtful. We know Emmanuel Mudiay is back and ready to rock and roll for the Utah Jazz. So I doubt very much we would not see Harden and Westbrook in this game. But right now it is no Westbrook, no Capella. This is a tough game to look at here, Tony, because it's up to 12 already for the Utah Jazz. 224 it opened it. It's 222.5 right now, and I don't see that continuing to rise up anytime soon. So I don't know. You're the Utah guy here. Is it a little too one-sided for your taste?
Well, it's absolutely too. First and foremost, I don't know when the show was last week. We had a show, and we were talking about Utah, and my heartfelt love for Utah is a little exaggerated on this show. However, I'll accept that. I will accept that. And I will say this, as I said last week, how many games this year, and Utah's won their fair share of games, how many games have they won by double digits? How many games have they won by 15 when they were given 15 last week? How many games have they won by 13? And how many games has Houston, a team that every Joe Blow, every Joe Public, every square on your city block believes is going to go over the total. How many times have they gone over the total? This is a game where you got Utah with a big number that's defense first. Is a baker's dozen favored?
Yeah.
And the totals in the 220 up were without a Harden, without a Westbrook. It's crazy. I'll tell you what, it's crazy as it might sound. As if I was a guy who didn't follow the NBA once a year, I pay attention once every year, so I'm qualified. I'm taking Houston the points and the under.
I love that. I love the correlation there. Guys, listen to how good the Jazz have been here. It's kind of stupid. 16-4-1 against the number in their last 21 overall. 7-0-1 against the number in their last 8 at home. 3-0-1 against the number in their last 4 against teams with actual winning records. And all of this, by the way, interesting enough between these two teams, Rob, the under is 4-1 in the last 5 meetings between these two teams, and 6-1 in Houston's last 7 at Utah. Not a place that they are known to light it up. And you take Westbrook out here, and not a lot of depth with Houston. Are we looking at the under here, or where are you going with this?
Well, first of all, let's clarify Tony's heartfelt love for the Utah Jazz, because it runs a lot deeper than he's willing to admit.
Yes.
So much so, Joe, that I had to go on Twitter a couple nights ago and thank Tony for letting me borrow the Utah Jazz minus 4.5 to get myself a win and cover. So
16-4-1 in the last 21 will do that. You'll have a lot of love for a team that goes 16-4-1.
Yes. I am attracted.
Yes. No kidding.
But I'm with you guys. How could you not play under here, under 222.5? I mean, it just seems the right way to go here when you minus that much offense from the Houston Rockets squad. And the squad that's been, a little bit sporadic where their shooting is concerned. James Harden, and maybe this thigh injury is the reason why he hadn't shot well from 3 for about a week. I heard a commentator last night say that for James Harden to sit out a game, the injury must be pretty severe because he never wants to sit out. If that's the case and he even steps on the floor tonight, you might expect another one of those 3 of 12 from 3 or something like he's been putting up in recent times, which lends itself to the under as well. So for me, it would be under 222.5. I think Utah's certainly good enough defensively to stop the other pieces on the floor. And, Quinn Snyder might not let his team go absolutely crazy. I mean, that's what you would have to maybe worry about a little bit here. Houston can let games get out of hand.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie here. We got Ski in the chat room throwing bombs Tony's way. He's calling for Sawbucks here, Tony. He is calling Sawbucks. It looks like he's on the Jazz here tonight, man. I can't believe you're taking Houston and not the Jazz. And Ski is calling you out in the chat room. I just want you to know that, man. Sounds like we got a side bet going on here.
Ask the enemy how many points he's giving me.
How many points, Ski? Give us a number here, brother, man. Give us a number. How many? Well, it's 12. Damn, dude. You got to be kidding me. You're already
12 and a half.
12.
Well, I'll tell you what. Don't tempt me. I'll tell you what. I'll take 10 if he gives me 2-1 odds.
Ooh, damn. 2-1, Ski. He'll give you 2-1. Give him 10 on it, man. Doesn't make a difference. Jazz are going to win by a ridiculous amount here, I think. I really do. I
think I won the last side bet on Friday. I just don't remember who it was.
This has got this has got like 110.93 written all over it, somewhere along those lines. It's going to be something stupid. Yeah, it's going to be something stupid.
I think you took Phoenix Friday.
Yeah,
yes.
Plus 5.
Ski's giving you 14, by the way. He'll even give you 14. He'll give you 14.
You give me 14?
Yeah.
You tell him if he gives me 14, I'll give him 1.2. I'll give him 1.2 odds. It's done. I'm signed up.
And you're back in Houston. Done. Side bet. We got it, Ski. You're in tomorrow, brother, man. You can collect those Sawbucks tomorrow. Yeah, it's in. 14. Book it. All right, guys, best bet time here. Go around the horn. Now, there was one other game that we didn't get to. I don't know if either of you guys have any interest. Sacramento and Minnesota. Minnesota laying 3 at home. The total 226. Is it a over or nothing here, Rob, in your opinion, with this game?
It is, and funny you should mention this game, Joe, because I'll put the best bet label on it. Sacramento, Minnesota over. It comes with a situation that I really like to play, and that is two teams that kind of underperformed offensively in their last game for Sacramento. It was a 98-81 win against Chicago, and not only did they underperform offensively, but they really outperformed themselves defensively against, we just talked about how battered the Chicago lineup is, and for Sacramento to hold them to 39.2 from the field and to only give up 81 points. Sacramento had been giving up points at a massive rate the prior 5 games. All those games went over. Every team scored at least 114. We know about Minnesota and Karl Anthony Towns. The team is an offensive juggernaut. They don't play much defense. We say that all the time, so that it becomes really repetitive and nauseating. But it's the facts. And I think both of these teams, since Minnesota had a poor night offensively, 104 points against Oklahoma City, let's attribute that to the OKC defense, which has been really good as of late. 226 to me, again, seems like a bargain with these two teams going at it, so I'll take it as the best bet. Sacramento, Minnesota, over 226.
Can't go wrong over 226. Tony Finn, talk to us.
Well, I would agree 100%. I would say I was just trying to look up something. I wrote a little short commentary on the Kings last night, and my question is: this is a team that had some upside. At least everyone thought. Those I trust and respect believe Sacramento was in good hands. That the lineup and the roster was close to being as competitive as it could be with a young Point and Bagley, et cetera, et cetera. I'll get to the point here, and that is they've been a complete flop, in truth, and a team that has the pieces to be decent, respectable defensively. I think they've gone over what probably 10 the last 12, 10 the last 14 games,
Yeah,
6 the last 7, 7 last 8, craziness, and gone over with them missing what I consider offensive components. So how do you play? How do you do anything with Sacramento right now except for, toss your name in the hat on the over and close your eyes and hope you make it home safely.
There it is, guys. And don't forget, sportsmemo.com, wagertalk.com. You guys can get there. It is $9 Monday. Everything on the board, just $9 here. Rob Vino's plays are up there. Grab them for $9, as is Tony Finn's, or those say the $9, it's Utah. I'll just tell you that right now. He's only kidding. It's Utah. It's always going to be Utah, guys. For $9, there you go. Boom. I don't know, shits and giggles time here, guys. I'm having a really hard time justifying the Detroit Pistons laying 6.5 with anybody, much less the Cleveland Cavaliers here. So this is, if it was a healthy Pistons team, yes, we ain't got that. So last time I got to go, and I got to go. Give me the Cleveland Cavaliers, give me the Miami Heat, and give me the San Antonio Spurs. All right, all three are going to win out here. Money line, all of them. Boom, done.
What was it? It's Cleveland, San Antonio, and who?
Miami Heat.
Okay.
Miami Heat.
I wrote it down.
Cut it. Do it. Ready. Let's rock and roll. Can
we add some sound effects to this show? So when we have a real kaboom?
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
We can just, or basic, exactly. Or the guy ripping ass in the corner because that's what we've got here. With the shits and giggles. That's what we got here. You guys, Ski will be on tomorrow, Ski, so don't get fired tweeting here and hanging out with us in the chat room. Get your ass back to work. And then, of course, we will be back here tomorrow with the full complement, including a doctor visit, a ski visit, the two gentlemen that you see here on the screen. We'll all be back for a big card. But in the meantime, $9, guys, $9. Get to WagerTalk, get to sportsmemo.com. Take advantage of it. So, Rob, appreciate the time, my man. Tony Finn, always a pleasure. We get to do this again tomorrow, so may the winners be yours today, guys. Come back and join us again then. Don't forget, like the video, subscribe to the channel, come back and join us. Gentlemen, good luck. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Good deal,
18
Joe.
points?
18. You ain't getting shit. You're getting 14. All right.
18?
Don't make shit up because Ski ain't here. All right. He's gonna call your ass out tomorrow.
Oh, Ski
Tony
is
Finn, make it up as it goes along. Utah. It's the Jazz, baby. Good luck, guys. The Jazz.